Hi there. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are new here or you're coming from another creator's video that did the plant challenge, welcome. I'm Melissa, and just a little bit about me. I am one of the pandemic plant crazy people. So I've been growing houseplants for about 4 years now, and I love plants. And I started my YouTube channel about, a little over 3 years ago. I got a message from Lee. He is Kill This Plant on YouTube and I think Instagram as well. And he invited me on this plant challenge. They did it last year and had a lot of fun with it. I remember watching videos, but it was some time ago, so I wasn't exactly sure of like all the rules and everything. So when he reached out to me, I was like, yes, I'm so excited. I definitely want to do this. I do love a good challenge. I am competitive, but no, I just really wanted to partake because I just wanted to challenge myself to see how quickly, one, I could grow a plant. And I just think overall it would be a really fun experience to work with some other great creators on here. The plant challenge started November of 2023 and it ran through September the following year of 2024. So we had to grow a plant as best as we could in 10 months. That was the challenge. So there were a few rules and guidelines that we all had to follow. Number one was the plant budget. It was $20 USD. I think Canadian they were allowing for, or Australian, it was $25. But for you, USD, which is where I'm at, I'm based in Savannah, Georgia. I had a $20 budget, and that was just the plant. So that's not counting anything that we needed to grow the plant. One of the other rules is it had to be kept as an indoor plant, so we couldn't grow it outside or in any other conditions other than indoors. We weren't allowed to tell anyone or create any update videos on the progress of the plant or anything like that. We had to do a monthly check-in, so every one of us each month would upload a progress photo so we could go on there and see like everyone's progress photo for that particular month. At the end of the challenge, there's going to be a Discord meeting and we talk about the experience, and there's also going to be a guest judge. We don't know who this guest judge is going to be, and they're going to judge everyone's plant in the competition, and they'll see like the progress, and there'll be one first place winner, a second place winner, and a third place winner. There was a couple bonus points that you could get for tallest plant, largest leaf, and then first place got a little bit more points than second place and third place. So overall, whoever had the most points would be declared the winner. So the next thing was trying to come up with a plant to do this challenge with. So I really wanted to do a climbing plant to do on a moss pole. I wanted to challenge myself to see how quickly I could get a plant to climb and size up. I really wanted a climbing philodendron for this challenge, but I couldn't find anything that was under budget. So the other thing that I was thinking of was doing a epipremnum or pothos plant. And so I had previously grew a marble queen on a moss pole as one of my early first plants that I did. So I wanted to grow a second one to see how quickly I could get it to climb this time. So I went out kind of right away because I wanted to go ahead and get my plant and get the growing process started as quickly as I could. So I went out to the big box store. I went to Lowe's and could not find a marble queen, like a small starter plant. I ended up finding a couple pothos plants inside of Home Depot that were these small plants. So it was only $7.98. So I was way under budget for the price of the plant. And I was just really excited to get this challenge started. So I'm gonna walk you through my initial setup and how I'm actually going to kickstart this plant into growing and climbing really well for me. Welcome to the very first, initial phase of me potting my plant up. So Marble Queen Pothos, epipremnum Marble Queen. So today is Thursday, November 2nd. I bought this on 10/30 and it was $7.98 was the price of the plant. Since this is technically a challenge video, I'm gonna go at it with full strength fertilizer. I'm gonna add my myco in. I'm gonna add some slow release in as well. I'm just gonna get this plant started right from the beginning. I'm gonna give it the best care, the best light. I'm not gonna let this pole dry out. I'm gonna try and give her the best possible care and just see how quickly I can grow it. So I'm excited. First thing, I wanted to get off a lot of the old soil mix that came with the plant. I just wanted to start with a fresh base and a chunkier mix, because the thing about moss poles, you can easily overwater them and rot out the root system. So I wanted to get off all that old soil. I was trying to find ones that I felt like were really going to start climbing for the plant. So I was just going through all the individual strands, checking them over. I had a few that I felt like were really good, and I felt like they were going to be the ones really starting to climb. I feel like with my experience with moss poles, no matter how many vines that you actually have in there, only a couple, like one or two, will actually start really growing. And majority of my poles, only one vine tends to grow ahead of the rest. So I felt like there were a couple good options in this pot, so I was really excited about that. I took them to the sink to wash all the dirt off. I did end up switching the pot a couple of times. I ended up repotting the plant, which you will see coming up, but that's the initial one that I chose to start with. I wanted to start this plant on a clear moss pole because, one, it was going to stay moist a little bit longer in my environment, and I feel like the root system would really take a hold and really anchor in and start growing. A lot of the wire poles dry out super fast in my plant room conditions, and that's where I was growing this plant. So the clear pole was the one that I felt like would get this plant started growing the quickest. The pole that I'm using is a large grow pole by the company Thickly, and I filled it with damp sphagnum moss. I left about 5 inches or so empty so I could plant that in the actual pot, because we're going to be filling the bottom part with a soil mix, so that way the moss isn't sitting in the soil. The soil mix that I ended up using, I don't use anymore. This is my old mix, but the goal or the key is to make sure that it's really aerated, so lots of bark, pumice or perlite. I had charcoal in there. You just want a lot of aeration so the roots can breathe and your substrate can easily drain. You want it more free flowing because, yeah, like I said, when you're keeping the pole moist all the time, trying to get those roots to grow into the moss, you are at risk for root rot. So it's really important that the substrate is airy. I did end up adding some Osmocote into the base. At that time, I was still using Osmocote, but now I am strictly liquid fertilizer, which I did end up using later for this plant. That's what I would water through the pole, but I wanted to add some extra fertilizer in the actual substrate because Osmocote's usually good for 3 months and it's not going to release a bunch of nutrients all at once. I just wanted to make sure that I was actually like really feeding this plant to get it to grow as best as I could. So that's why I decided to use Osmocote in there as well. I also added in a little mycorrhizae, which are beneficial fungi. I just was throwing any and everything in here. I just wanted all the help I could get. And plus I did mess with the root system with, separating all the vines, getting all the old dirt off. So I just wanted that in there to kind of help the root system out a little bit too. And then next was adding all the cuttings in. I just wanted to get them all in there, all to the front of the pole. So I was working on all of that, trying to stuff them down in there. And then the goal or the key is to make sure the aerial roots that you see coming off the vine, you want those anchored against the moss as best as you can, because those are the roots that are actually going to start rooting into the moss pole. So after I stuffed all them in there, I ended up going back and wrapping with some clear saran wrap. It's technically called grafting tape. It's what I use to anchor the node or the vine against the moss so that it doesn't move around. And it also is going to trap in a little bit more humidity around the nodes, which is definitely going to encourage those roots to grow. So I highly recommend using it. It really is a game changer for starting out moss poles. So after getting her all potted up, she's looking so good. I ended up watering through the base with some liquid nutrients because, again, I wanted to give everything to this plant to get this plant started growing as quickly as possible. I found a cache pot. I like to use the cache pot to help trap in moisture. It's going to encourage root growth. Here's my golden I did not too long ago, and you can see all the roots that have grown. So more roots for the plant to take up more nutrients, which is going to help it climb. So it's already attaching in. So you can see how much smaller the marble queen is. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this light here, get like really good light for these two for now. Here is the other marble queen that is going on over 2 years now. So yeah, I'm excited to continue to do updates. I will probably water the moss. I usually water my poles twice a week, and I'm gonna keep giving it fertilizer with my water every time I water. I'm gonna keep it in front of good light. And that's really the only thing I can do. I can't really do anything else. It's already in like a pretty good growing environment. We are into like the fall season, heading into winter here. So the first 5 months of its life is going to be not in its favor since it's technically not the growing season. So after getting the plant set up, the next update that I decided to film was the following February. So February 2024, the plant is starting to grow and climb, and we do our first repot as well as our first extension. We are back for an update. It's actually been a while since I updated on this plant, and it's kind of making slow progress. I feel like it's starting to finally want to climb now, which I think it's probably because there's so many vines in here competing for attention. I have two that really seem to want to start growing. So these outer two are probably going to be the two vines growing for the plant. So what we're going to do today is we're going to clean her up a bit. I have some leaves that are yellowing here just slightly. I kind of want to trim some of these away just for cosmetic reasons for me. And I'm going to extend the pole because the last nodes are like right here. So I want to go ahead and add the extension on. The base of the plant is starting to push actually several roots out of the pot. So I'm actually just going to switch her pot to, it's roughly a 6-inch, it's the same size, but I want to get some of these roots actually back in the pot and kind of just like switch her and kind of give this a little refresh. I'm not going to disturb the root system that much. So yeah, this is what she's looking like. I mean, it's made great progress so far. I just want to tidy her up a bit for the growing season. Ah. Right, now that this is potted, let's clean her up a bit. I don't like this one here. I don't like this one here. That one. That one is bugging me. We're gonna cut that one away. It's just too many in here. This is like my marker leaf here. This one, as long as it stays on the plant, it's like a little bent here. So you can see that on the original growth, just to make sure that it's the same plant. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. She's growing quite a bit now, more steadily, and you can see she is rooting in nicely in the pole as well. So we're gonna go ahead and make our extension. She's on her way to a big pole now. She has graduated. I'm gonna give her a little bit of a drinkity drink. optimize photosynthesis. She is beautiful. February to March, April, May, June, July, August, September. We have almost 7 more, well, maybe 6.5 to 7 more months of growing. Yeah, she's gonna be a big plant by then. Very happy with the progress that she is making. Sometimes I get growth spurts out of nowhere, my poles, but now that she's like seems like she's wanting to climb, I feel like she's gonna size up in no time. Perfect fit. Oh yes. She is going to be climbing away now. I'm excited to see her progress. I've been meaning to get her set up like this for a little bit for several weeks now, so I'm glad I'm finally taking the time to do this. She is beautiful, very, very beautiful. So over the course of the next couple of months, as we head into the spring season, I'm getting excited. I'm starting to think about the other people in the challenge. I'm like, how's it going for them? I can see their photo updates, but at the initial phases, I feel like a lot of plants kind of look the same. Like they are starting to grow, but it's not like a huge crazy jump or anything like that. But I'm getting excited about everyone else's plants, and I'm starting to worry because I feel like I have a few competitors. I knew Lee picked a philodendron glorious, and I'm like, oh no, it's a good climber. I feel like he was probably my biggest competition because we were doing, 2 climbers, and I feel like I have a philodendron glorious, so I know how well they climb, and so I was a little anxious about that. Christina from Leafy Luster, she won the challenge last year, and I know she's really phenomenal at plant styling, and overall, I feel like that can give bonus points, at the end of the competition if you can style a plant really well and amazing. And I was trying to think styling purposes for me. I feel like growing a plant up a pole, there's not really a good way to style that. So I was a little worried about how she was going to do at the end of her, plant challenge, like how she was going to style her plant. So I was like, okay, they're probably my biggest competitors at that point. Some people did also drop out. Initially, there was a bigger group of us, and then as the months went by, because this challenge was so long, some people just either their plant died and they didn't continue, because if your plant died, then you could pick a new plant. You just are starting the challenge from that point, so you have less time to grow the plant. So you are behind if your plant does die, but you can still be in the challenge. We did decide to do a Discord meeting in April to kind of check in and see how things are going. Not everyone could make it for that meeting, so there was a few of us. So I'm going to play that footage next just to kind of check in and see how it's going with everyone.
So I guess before we start, is everyone still feeling good about the challenge? I know this length has been a lot more difficult, just having it so much longer. So? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think in part it's the length, and then also in part having so many more people.
I feel like it's way more chill than the last time, because the last time I was giving it my all, and now I feel so much more chill because there's so much more time. I just think, I have a few more months until I really have to do something.
Yeah.
So I am enjoying it until now.
I'm similar. I'm enjoying having longer length of time. I think having more people involved is nice. It'll be see if everybody finishes, because keeping people engaged for that period of time. It's interesting to try and do that, but I'm certainly enjoying it. I'm happy with how the plant's going.
All right.
A little nervous that Melissa is also happy because we're doing the same plant. But
I'm excited. I feel like mine's growing slower than what I'm expecting it to be at this point, but it's my first challenge, so I'm excited either way. I know I have lots of time left, but it's doing well, though. I feel like I'm happy with the progress it's made so far. I'm excited to see where it's going to be in the next few months, though.
Are you happy?
I did nearly kill it. But I'm actually trying a very wild self-watering moss pole setup.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm using the ones that I had designed myself, and I also bought like an automated pump for a different video, and I'm just reusing
Ah,
that. I think that should be enough. Any last words? Any suggestions for the future?
So after our meeting, I was still feeling pretty good. I was excited for spring. I was excited for the start of growing season. I knew I would have to do one more extension by the end of the challenge. And then I did end up repotting it one more time, which you're gonna see here. And I wanted to remove some of those little other extra cuttings around, because after our meeting, Lee said that I didn't have to keep all of the strands in there. Like I could do whatever I wanted with the plant. So that's probably like my biggest regret at this point. I wished I didn't have so many cuttings in the pot, because I feel like they were all kind of competing for nutrients, and it took a little bit for some of them to start growing. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that footage next. We are in June at this point, so we are in the growing season. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it repotted, remove some of those babies, and get it extended. Hello, I am back with an update. It is now June 15th. It is mid-June, so we really only have maybe like 2.5 more months of growing our plant. It has been a little bit since I updated. Honestly, my moss poles just overall have been on the back burner, and this one has kind of like grown over a bit. I'm going to extend it today, and I'm going to repot it and get it cleaned up a bit, and hopefully give it a little bit more of a boost before like the final, I guess, the end date. So I'll give you a look at how she is growing. So I have her, last time we extended her, so she's on 2 of the large growth holes by Thickly. So you can see she's like needed more moss. She's like all the way up here. And I have moss like from here. So I need to fill this up. I'm gonna go ahead and do the extension. And I haven't been keeping up with watering as much. And she's a little like root bound in here. I'm gonna like, I think just gently upsize. And then she's got all this growth down here that has kind of crisped and yellowed. And then she's doing like a every other kind of leaf irrigation. There's 2 main vines that have climbed up. There's this one over here that is more variegated with this leaf. And this main vine is the taller one. And let's see, it did a variegated one, a green one, and then there's a variegated one and a green one. And that newest one, I think, has a little color. So standing back, I mean, she's pretty tall. She's grown a lot from like, you know, when I got her. It's crazy that this plant was just a tiny little marble queen from the big box store that was $8. So yeah, let's go ahead and get her cleaned up and onto her last stage of growing. I think it'll be easier if I start with the repot first, so she won't be as tall to extend. And we'll kind of remove some of that yellowing leaves. If I can maybe pull away a couple other strands, I will, without disturbing her too much. And I think I'm going to keep the same pot. I think I'll just keep the same pot. I'll just kind of fix her a bit. And I'm going to get a different nursery pot. This one doesn't fit very well, so I'm going to get one that's a little bit better so she's not as wobbly. This little one we're going to pull out. We don't need this one. See, I put this elastic here when I first put the plant on the pole, but we don't need this anymore. Oops. This is like one of the original leaves that you can see from when I first put her on. So I'm gonna leave that until it yellows. Okay, all I have left to do is build the extension. I'm gonna quickly do that off camera and then we'll add that on. And then I think what I'll do is probably take her to the shower and just give her a good hose off. That way this entire thing can get moistened and she'll be good until I have to water her, probably in like 3 or 4 more days. Depending on how quickly she grows now, she might need 1 more extension. Because yeah, we have 2.5 more months. It's crazy, right? It's crazy what plants can do when they climb. I'm happy with the progress. She's done well. All right, we will check in next month. We are now into August. So we only have August, September. We only have really like a good month and a half left at this point. I was starting to get some bigger leaves, so I was getting really excited. I was really happy with the progress at this point. I feel like I wanted 1 more month to really get this plant growing. I really wanted to extend it 1 more time, but I wasn't sure because I still had some room at the top before she would need an extension. And then I could also see progress photos from everyone else. I would kind of look through them. So I felt good at this point that my plant was doing well, but I was still anxious. I still didn't know who was winning. I feel like Nora's plant from the Leca Queen, I felt like hers was growing pretty well too from the photos, and it was growing, you know, tall. So she started to get a little bit in the back of my mind as well as like my competitor, because she grows a lot of moss poles too. So I know, you know, she's really good at that. So yeah, I had a few people I was watching out for, but I felt good, but I didn't feel like I hadn't won or anything like that. Hello, I am popping on to give an update on Marble Queen. So since I rearranged my plant room recently, I kind of rearranged my poles. I feel like she's been all over the place along this wall, but currently she's in front of one of these Barina tower lights. She's kind of like right in center. And let me give you an update on the growth. I'm actually going to water her really quick with you, and I think next time I pop back on, so we are currently a week into August, so there's 3 weeks left of this challenge, which is crazy. So I'm hoping I at least get a couple more leaves that are a little bit bigger. The newest leaf has sized up more than the last one, which I'm happy about, but I do want a little bit more bigger growth before the challenge ends. So I'm hoping she spits a couple more out for me in the few weeks that are left. This is her current size. This is the newest leaf here, which is pretty big. So mine is doing some weird every other leaf variegation. I mentioned on this main vine where it's like a green leaf and then a variegated, a green leaf and then a variegated. And then this one here was supposed to be all green, but it actually has a little bit of variegation in the corner, which is so cool. And then this leaf here that came out is absolutely stunning. That's the second vine that's growing, and it's giving me like higher color. And there's actually a little, well, there's a couple more down here on the bottom. I'll give you a different view of her. And she's growing very well. Her pole is very dry right now. I'm behind on watering moss poles like I always am. So yeah, let me flip this around and show you her, and we'll give her a good water. So here she is, front and center. And that's the newest leaf here. It's still hardening, I feel like a bit. It's still very soft feeling. And then she's actually working on a new leaf again. So maybe I will have to add the extension on. But she's gotten some pretty big leaves. I'm very pleased. And you know, my original Marble Queen is right over there. Looking a bit droopy. I need to water those like days ago. But yeah, I think she's doing so well. And this leaf here is gorgeous. I love the variegation on that. Like right there, stunning. So I have some of my nutrient water and I just kind of pour it over top here. And I try not to let her get all the way dry, but it's just not possible. I'm always underwatering my pools. Just pour, pour, pour. I'll kind of see where that soaks down to. Last up, we are in September. The challenge is officially over. So I have to do my final check-in and send my photos, and I have to measure the largest leaf because we could get bonus points for that. And then I measured how tall it was because you could get bonus points for that as well. So yeah, I'll show you what she finally looked like. And I was so happy at this point. Again, I still wished I had one more month. I was so incredibly overall just impressed with her size and how well she grew and everything. So super happy. I was very anxious. I knew our meeting was coming up, so I didn't know who the guest judge was going to be or anything like that. And I was excited. I was very anxious, but I was excited to get on and just kind of see how everyone else was feeling and everything. So overall, I was extremely happy, excited, and glad my plant was where it was. But again, I didn't know who was going to win. I didn't feel confident enough because Lee ended up having the same leaf size as me. So I'm like, oh no, he's probably going to win. So yeah, I was really anxious for the meeting. She's huge. Look how beautiful she is. The biggest leaf there. And her official height is 5 feet and 4 inches. So the leaf length is, dun 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 dun. So we are at 1 foot, 1 inch. That's the bottom right here where my finger is. It's 1 foot, 1 inch. I'm gonna measure this one on this side just to be sure. 12 inches, 12 and a half inches. Crazy. Marble Queen is one of my favorite plants, epipremnums. They're so easygoing. I love this half moon leaf here too. Yeah, and it's been so much fun.
Right,
We started this when, like almost a year ago, right?
It's been
last December,
it's been exactly a year almost since we started. So I remember I wrote down November 2023 we started.
Yeah.
What a joyous year it's been as well. Watching both of my plants slowly die.
First we're just gonna briefly talk about what your experience was like with this whole challenge. So Nora, can you go first?
Oh yay. Hi everyone. I have my little plant here. What's it called? Philodendron autumn something. Sorry. Like I said, I'm crashing. It was good. It was really good. I think the most challenging thing I found about the challenge actually was finding the plant and the cost, and I had very little choice, and I ended up with this one. Not really what I'd have wanted because I didn't want a climbing plant, but that went really well. I was a little bit concerned about actually transitioning the plant from soil to leca because obviously that's what I needed to do because I wasn't going to have that soil in my home. And I thought that doing that was going to mean that I was a little bit behind everyone because once you transition a plant from soil to leca, you kind of take a step back before you start running. But all in all, I think I'm happy with it. It did okay.
Awesome. All right, Richard, you're up.
I think the hardest thing was starting it in November, just the beginning of winter, because I tried to be clever and transition my original plant from soil to perlite. and that seemed to do a number on it, and it just slowly declined until it eventually died. And then I had to rethink and buy new plants. Only now, after I've resubmitted it or submitted the plant, now it's starting to push out growth. So that's good timing.
All right, Scott, you're up.
Yeah. So I did no, I didn't. What did I do? I did a in Pothos, and I transitioned it from soil to soil, and it started growing really quickly. Put it on a moss pole. The moss pole, I was originally trying to just get a really thick plant, but it got to the top of the moss pole like within the first 2 or 3 months. So I extended the moss pole, and I'm really happy with how it's looking. It's pushing out some big leaves. There's kind of 3 plants that I got out of the one pot, and one of them is far less variegated. It's grown a lot faster. So I've got some massive non-variegated leaves, but it's still looking really gorgeous, and everything's doing well, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out.
All right, Lauren.
I have a begonia, kind of a no name. It didn't. I got it from like Lowe's or something, so I have no idea what it is. But it's kind of like that sparkly looking iridescent one. And I knew I wanted to put it in a terrarium this time. I wanted to try something a little different. But I didn't do that at first. I just left it like on the windowsill because it was, going into winter, so I needed to have it with more light. So I put it there, and it was doing fine. I watered it from the top, and it made the leaves heavy, and the leaves just rotted and completely like mushed away. And so I lost most of the plant, and so I had to regrow it again from maybe like 3 leaves, and then it grew back as a nice bush, and now it's fine.
All right, Melissa.
I think the biggest challenge for me, I think finding a plant. I knew I wanted a climbing plant, but for the budget, I feel like other than what's at the big box store, I feel like had trouble finding. I really wanted a climbing philodendron. So I went with a marble queen because I have experience growing a marble queen. That was like way when I started my moss pole journey. So I kind of wanted to challenge myself to see how quickly I could grow it this time. I feel like it was a little slow to get started. I put it on a pole right away. And I think because it was like winter time, it didn't really start going until like the spring season. And then over summer, it just like exploded. I feel like if I had one more month, because it was at the top of the extension, I probably would have chopped it and extended it. And I feel like I could have gotten a couple bigger leaves, but yeah, I'm really happy with the progress mine made. It was fun to do.
All right, Christina.
Okay, so as last year's winner, I didn't want to repeat myself and get a climbing plant again, so I tried something different this time and got a philodendron fun bun, aka philodendron goldii, or I think it's formerly known as Tomatophyllum sprucianum. And it grows more like a alocasia. I had a little bit of trouble because I also got a beat down plant. It wasn't in pristine condition when I got it, and it grew really slowly in the beginning. Especially, I kind of overestimated how slow it was. I kind of lost interest in it like halfway through the challenge because it was taking so long and it didn't really do anything. But other than that, my strategy this time was to again go for more like plant styling, because I feel like last time this won a few extra points with the judge. It looks really nice. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I don't think it's the most practical way to grow a plant or to display a plant, and I don't know if I can keep it up like long term. But for the purpose of the challenge, I was really happy with how everything turned out.
For me, I pretty much immediately knew that I wanted to do a Philodendron Glorious. I think being in Canada, my humidity is generally around like 30 to 40% most of the winter, so I knew that I needed a philodendron that wouldn't get its leaves caught when it was trying to unfurl. So I'd heard that the Glorious was a fairly easy one to grow and grow quickly and size up the leaves. So I managed to find one at this small plant shop in Toronto. And I also wanted to switch back to my DIY moss poles, but knowing that I'm not actually home that often in the summer, I decided to set up this, I guess, completely hydro system. So I used an automatic timer, and I kept the Glorious in like this little glass container that was full of water, and it had just a tube going up to the top of the moss pole, so it was just basically constantly cycling water at intervals every day. And with that, I was able to sort of take a more hands-off approach to it and only need to tend to it when it reached the top of the moss pole. So that's why I went with the Glorious.
Hello everyone, my name's Claire from the YouTube channel The Jungle Haven, and if you don't know me, I make planty videos on tips and tricks, things I've learnt over the years, and just generally try and make learning about plants fun. So thank you so much for inviting me to be your judge for this competition. I absolutely love a growth comparison. I'm constantly putting my own plants next to old pictures of themselves to see how far they've come, so this is genuinely really exciting for me. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So the first one that we're going to be looking at is the Philodendron Glorious, and the person that's growing this one has done such a good job because my God, it has sized up a crazy amount. If you look at it before, it obviously looks like a very healthy plant, but looking at it now, the first thing that grabbed me was just the size of those leaves. Like the scale of this plant is absolutely insane now. Obviously it's been given a moss pole to climb, which really helps. It just helps the plant to grip on, attach, absorb lots of micronutrients. The veination in the plant now as well is just stunning. I feel like it's so much more defined than it was before. And then this next plant is a Thaumatophyllum sprucianum, and oh my goodness, it is so beautiful. Honestly, looking at the before and after of this plant, it's just perfect, and it's got such an unusual form to its leaves. I feel like I might have just added a new plant to my wish list. And then next up we've got a Pothos Marble Queen, which is growing in such an unusual way, and I absolutely love it. So obviously looking at the before photo, it was growing in a hanging pot. It was quite a juvenile plant in the grand scheme of things, and again, whoever grew this plant has managed to achieve a really incredible level of growth in quite a short amount of time. And then the next one here's a begonia, and I'm not entirely sure what the idea of this begonia is. I don't know if maybe it's a hybrid, but whatever it is, it's absolutely stunning. It's got those gorgeous kind of inner, almost like they've been kind of brushed with watercolor, like pinkiness running throughout its leaves. And especially if you look at the first picture, you can see it's got a really gorgeous silvery tone to it. But I really love what this person's done. I think that kind of open terrarium, in fact, to say open terrarium, it kind of looks like maybe that lid does close. But I think that's just a lovely way of growing it. I think visually it looks gorgeous, and also it is a humidity loving plant, so no doubt it's been helping to just keep its leaves nice and conditioned, avoid browning and stuff like that. And then next up is the Philodendron Ring of Fire, and obviously the person that grew this plant has changed up quite a lot for this plant in the time that they've been growing it. In the first photo it looks very much like a plug plant. It looks like it's in one of those teeny tiny little nursery pots, and obviously in the second photo, it's been given a real upgrade. It's in a beautiful decorative pot. It's on a nice moss pole, but nonetheless, it looks incredibly healthy. There is no cause for concern there, and I feel like when it gets going, it will size up quite quickly. And then the next one is the Philodendron Autumn Queen. And immediately straight off the bat, when I saw these two photos next to each other, I was just like, whoa, this one feels like it's a whole other plant. It has come such a long way. And firstly, the thing that I love so much about this type of philodendron is just how the new growth comes in so pink and kind of autumnal, and then it fades to more of a beautiful green colour. I think it's a plant that kind of keeps you on your toes a little bit, so for that reason I think it is just beautiful. And then finally we've got another Pothos Marble Queen, and this is actually really interesting because obviously we saw another Pothos Marble Queen earlier in this competition. I think looking at this just goes to show how a different environment and different conditions can affect the way that a plant grows, because oh my goodness, the after photo of this one is just out of this world. It's gone from looking like a very juvenile, very beautiful but very juvenile little plant that you kind of pick up for £5 in your local Tesco's to something, I don't know, to something that you'd almost find growing in its natural habitat. It's absolutely amazing. And the lovely thing as well with looking at the after of this plant is that the person that's grown it has obviously managed to not only really get this plant to size up, but really kind of conserve that variegation as well. It's got a lovely balance as it's grown and kind of climbed that pole. So I would have thought this has probably been grown in very high light. I think with the pothos plant, because it's one that's very well known for being able to survive in lower lighting conditions, people often don't give it the amount of light, the level of light, and the hours of light that it actually requires. And this is what can happen when you do. So yeah, it's magnificent, and I am going to take a moment now and I'm going to think about everything that I've seen, because there have been some beautiful, beautiful plants.
Oh, that was so nice of her. Yeah, I definitely feel like my environment, like specifically like my plant room, it's south facing, so it gets a lot of that really intense light here. And I feel like that definitely helped, because my plant room's like 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's pretty warm, and it was getting a good amount of light every day. And then I think I was feeding it twice a week with nutrients. When I watered the pole, I was watering it about twice a week just because it dries so quickly. So I feel like that definitely helped.
I think yours beats mine. I was afraid this would happen. I saw you pick I was like, oh man, she really does know how to make a big plant on a pole quickly. That's great. Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So after much deliberation, I have got my top 3 plants here. It was genuinely actually really hard to choose, because there's some that, even if they weren't that conventional, perhaps there were some that I really loved. And I honestly think everyone should be very proud of their achievements, because all of you have grown really lovely plants. However, this is a competition, and in 3rd place, I've chosen to put the Philodendron Glorious. As I said at the beginning, I think the person that has grown this one has just managed to achieve a really amazing scale of growth in quite a short amount of time. I already commented on the veination, but I think that just, I don't know, that often comes along with a really mature plant, and I just think it's beautiful. And then in 2nd place, this was hard again, but in 2nd place, I put the Philodendron Autumn Queen, because again, I just think the level of growth, although it hasn't sized up perhaps as much as the previous one, the level of growth that you've been able to achieve in a short amount of time with this one is incredibly impressive. And the plant just looks so, so healthy. There's no signs of damage. I like the way you've displayed it. That looks like a really great moss pole. So yeah, that would be my 2nd place choice. And then if you hadn't guessed, I think for me anyway, there was a clear winner here, and that is the 2nd Pothos Marble Queen that we saw, just because, I mean, I have been growing pothos plants for the last 7 or 8 years since I first got into houseplants, and never have I ever been able to achieve that scale of growth in a pothos plant, and that's in years. And the fact that you've managed to do this in a matter of months just blows my mind, honestly. Teach me your ways. It's incredible. And yeah, thank you so much again for asking me to judge this competition, because it's been a lot of fun. And yes, I will hopefully see you again
I don't
soon.
know what to say. That's crazy. I don't know. She's so kind.
Congratulations.
I know. Thank you. I had so much fun, and I know I definitely want to challenge myself again. I want to do something else other than a climbing plant, because I feel like I can grow climbing plants pretty good. It's just I want to challenge myself if I get the opportunity to do this again with something a little bit more challenging for me. So yes, thank you guys. It was so much fun, and yeah, everyone did amazing. I'm anxious. Yeah, just thank you for having me here, and thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, I just feel like everyone did amazing with the plants that they chose, and different growing environments, like some started in like the off season and vice versa. So I feel like everyone did a great job, and you guys plants look amazing. So yeah, thank you.
Nora, any thoughts on your 2nd place silver medal?
Well, I'm happy with that silver medal. I'll take a silver any day. And I'm happy to be standing on the podium with my friend Melissa, Moss Pole Warriors. Yeah, and I feel exactly like you, Melissa. I think, moss poles sometimes are highly overrated, but, kind of, you've got no choice. You come back to it again and again and again. It's a winning formula. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for letting me join. And yeah, it was fun. And I'm thinking, what a few thoughts for next time.
What are your thoughts on thirdly?
Exactly.
Look,
Place this year. You didn't try and repot your plant 3 or 4 times to make that happen?
I did some pretty dangerous stuff actually that I'll just like save for my video, but I probably nearly killed my plant like maybe 3 times trying to transfer it. I could have extended the moss pole, but that puts it up like so tall in my room. I was just a little bit worried about having to add another like safety hook on my wall and then string it up so it's not tipping over. So I'm happy with third considering how I nearly had to just restart and pick a new plant like 6 months into the competition. So very happy with third place. But we did have some bonus challenges for 5 points each. We have the largest leaf for 15.5 inches going to Leafy Luster. Congratulations. And
Was my plan all along.
yes, really stretching the definition of what a leaf is.
Well, I did research before I picked a plant and had checked the definition of leaf and leaflets, especially for this occasion.
Yeah. Christina's playing chess. We're all playing checkers.
Yeah,
here.
I'm trying.
She's technically correct. The best kind of correct. There we are.
Absolutely.
Wasn't enough.
And we have, for another 5 points, we have the tallest plant at 5'3", 63 inches, going to Melissa. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
So we have our final results. Officially a tie for third place, going to myself and Leafy Luster for 5 points. For second place, we have Nora, the Lekka Queen, with 10 points. Congratulations. And first place with a whopping 20 points, going to Melissa. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Brad, well deserved.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. This was a very long competition. I honestly cannot believe that we started this over a year ago. But
crazy.
I'm glad we made it.
Maybe ban moss poles for the next one.
I cannot believe our guest judge was Claire from the Jungle Haven. I was like, my mind was blown. It was so fun getting to hear what she had to say about everyone's plants and everything. And then when she was talking about my plant, she was so kind. And I don't know, I found out I won, and I think I was in a bit of a shock. Honestly, I didn't really know for sure if I had it. I knew I was in competition with other people, but I kind of took this challenge as like a competition within myself to see how quickly I could grow it for me based off my experience growing a marble queen already. And so I just looked at it that way, and I tried to not think of all the competition that was out there. Yeah, just so thankful and excited to have participated, and thank you so much to Lee for inviting me. I had so much fun, and thank you to everyone else. I cannot wait to watch everyone else's video on the challenge that they did, so I'm super excited for that. I'll have to put on their videos while I do some chores and everything. But yeah, I'll make sure to link everyone's channels down below so you can go check out their videos. Make sure to give them some love, a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. And yeah, thank you again so much to Claire for judging and for the nice things that she said about my plant. Yeah, thank you guys again so much, and I look forward to the next challenge.